Story 1. The Trucker and the Mysterious Road. On a cold winter night, a seasoned truck driver named John was driving along a deserted road that cut through a dense forest. John was used to facing rough roads and harsh weather conditions, but he had never felt fear until that night. His journey started like any other day. He received orders to deliver an urgent shipment to a distant city. The truck was loaded with goods, and John was driving at a steady pace, trying to reach his destination before morning. However, as the snowfall intensified, visibility became extremely limited, and the road grew more treacherous. While navigating the dark road cautiously, John noticed a faint light in the distance. It seemed odd, as there were no houses or gas stations in this remote area. Approaching cautiously, John discovered the light was coming from a small car parked by the roadside, with its door ajar but no one inside. A sense of unease began to creep into John's mind. Stepping out of his truck, John walked towards the small car to inspect it. There were no footprints in the snow except for the tracks left by the car's tires. Deciding to investigate further, John heard a faint, eerie sound coming from the nearby forest. It sounded like someone was moaning in pain. With hesitant steps, John made his way towards the source of the sound. The closer he got, the clearer the sound became. Suddenly, he found himself in front of an old, abandoned cabin, its windows covered with snow. The front door was slightly open, emitting the faint light he had seen earlier. John entered the cabin cautiously, the damp smell of decay filling the air. On the creaky wooden floor there were fresh bloodstains, as if someone had been dragged inside. In the corner of the room, there was a large wooden chest, tightly sealed. John attempted to open it, but found it locked. Determined to find the key, John searched the cabin. As he rummaged through the dilapidated furniture, he heard footsteps behind him. Spinning around quickly, he saw no one. Anxiety gnawed at him, but he continued his search. Eventually, he found the key under an old frayed rug. Returning to the chest, he cautiously lifted the lid. Inside the chest, John found a small girl, bound and terrified, her eyes wide with fear. She was shivering from the cold and clearly in distress. John quickly untied her and tried to comfort her. Just then, he heard the sound of a car engine approaching the cabin. Acting swiftly, John scooped up the girl and dashed out of the cabin, only to see a white car pull up in front. Two men emerged, their expressions tense and suspicious. John ran to his truck with the girl in his arms, desperately trying to escape. He jumped into the driver's seat, started the engine, and sped off down the dark road, with the two men in hot pursuit. The chase was dangerous, with the slippery roads and rapidly accumulating snow adding to the peril. After a harrowing and prolonged pursuit, John managed to reach a nearby police station, a location he was familiar with. He arrived and shouted for help. Officers quickly responded and apprehended the two men after a brief exchange of gunfire. It was later revealed that the girl had been kidnapped several days prior, and the men had intended to ransom her back to her family. Thanks to John's quick thinking and bravery, the girl was rescued and reunited with her family. John's heroic actions became well known throughout the town, and he was honored for his courage and sense of duty. Following the incident, John's life changed significantly. He decided to continue his job as a truck driver, but with a renewed sense of purpose and compassion. He was always ready to help others and intervene in critical situations. John became a symbol of bravery and dedication in his profession, inspiring many to be better and offer help to those in need. Every time John drove through that deserted road, he remembered that cold night and the little girl he had saved. The memory of that night gave him strength to face new challenges with confidence and courage. And so John continued his journey through life, transporting not just goods, but also hope and kindness to everyone he encountered along the way. Story 2. The Trucker and the Hidden Cargo. David, a seasoned truck driver, was on a routine cross-country trip tasked with transporting goods. That night he picked up a new container from the port, destined for a distant city. He had no idea what was inside the container, but it didn't matter. His job was built on trust and professionalism. David started his long journey on the highway. Everything seemed normal until he reached a remote and isolated area. Suddenly, the truck began to shake strangely, as if something inside the container was moving. David decided to pull over and investigate. Stepping out of his truck, he walked to the container. The sounds were unmistakably coming from within. Carefully, he opened the container and was met with a shocking sight. A group of people, looking exhausted and frightened, were trapped inside. Among them were men, women, and children, all staring at him with pleading eyes. David was stunned. How had these people ended up here? And who had put them in this situation? He tried to calm them down and asked about their story. One of the men, speaking in a shaky voice, explained that they were victims of human trafficking. They had been abducted from their homeland and promised jobs and a better life, only to find themselves imprisoned in this container. Realizing the gravity of the situation, David decided to call the authorities immediately. As he was doing so, he noticed 2 cars speeding towards the truck. It was clear that the traffickers had discovered his stop and were coming to reclaim the container at any cost. Quickly, David instructed everyone to get back into the container and locked it securely. He jumped into the driver's seat and started driving at high speed, trying to escape. The traffickers pursued him aggressively, attempting to stop him by any means possible. Fear gripped David, but he had no choice but to keep driving. After a dangerous chase, David managed to reach a nearby city and headed straight to the police station. He arrived safely and reported the situation to the officers. The police acted swiftly, arresting the traffickers and rescuing the group of captives. David felt a wave of relief and joy for saving those innocent people. Thanks to his courage and quick thinking, a dangerous human trafficking network was dismantled and the victims were returned to their normal lives. Life returned to normal after the incident, but that night remained etched in David's memory. His story spread widely, and he was honored for his bravery and sense of responsibility. The experience changed his life profoundly, making him more vigilant and responsible in his daily work. In the months that followed, David decided to share his story with others, hoping to inspire courage and dedication. He began speaking at conferences and public events, detailing his experience and the importance of handling difficult situations responsibly. David also founded a nonprofit organization aimed at helping victims of trafficking and raising awareness about the dangers of this crime. The organization provided support and assistance to many individuals, saving numerous lives thanks to David's efforts and dedication. Continuing his work as a truck driver, David embraced a new spirit of giving and helping. He was always ready to face challenges and stand by those in need. His story became a symbol of hope and bravery, encouraging everyone to be better and help others as much as they could. Each time David drove his truck along different routes, he remembered that dark night and the people he saved. This memory gave him strength to continue his journey with renewed purpose and courage, carrying not just cargo, but hope and compassion to everyone he met along the way.